order. First up is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. First order is the acceptance and correction of minutes from, we'll do the 9/12/22 public and non-public.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 9/12/22 public and non-public minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, seeing none, motion passes. And we'll go to the 9/15 public.
I'll make a motion, we do the 9/15/22 public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
So we have 4, and I was an abstention. I wasn't there for that meeting, right?
I don't believe I was there either.
We have announcements.
No, Collis, you were present.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was my birthday now, I remember, yeah.
So I've got Pete abstaining then?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a immediate public release. And this is from Samantha Holman, Chairperson, Goffstown Public Library Board of Trustees. Mrs. Hathaway named 2022 Director of the Year, Goffstown Library Director selected for annual award. Goffstown, New Hampshire. Goffstown Public Library Director Diane Hathaway was selected for the New Hampshire Library Trustees Association 2022 Director of the Year Award. The award will be presented by the NHLTA at a later date at the Goffstown Public Library. The Library Director of the Year Award is given to director that exhibits professionalism, leadership, and outstanding performance and has made notable contributions toward fulfilling the mission and goals of the library and demonstrates initiative in developing programs and services to meet the community's needs and enhancement of the quality of life. The Goffstown Public Library trustees nominated Hathaway with the support from Selectwoman Kelly Boyer and the Friends of the Goffstown Public Library, citing her knowledge, professionalism, leadership, and community investment. Diane, with the support of our outstanding staff, has done an exemplary job in realizing the mission of the Goffstown Public Library. The nomination read, under her direction, the library provides a safe and welcome space for people to explore and engage with important and sometimes difficult issues. I have never met someone so passionate, thoughtful, and so driven to serve the community, said Boyer. Diane is a kind leader who empowers her staff fully, working with her team to find innovative ways to hold true to the mission of the public library service and providing services for residents, expanding outreach and accessibility, and bringing forth an in-depth summer program and a true testament to Diane's leadership and confidence in her employees. Hathaway has served as director of the Goffstown Public Library for more than 22 years. She's received the Ann Giesel Award of Merit by the New Hampshire Library Association in 2018 and recognition for her outstanding contribution to the New Hampshire library community. She holds a BS from Southern Connecticut State University and a graduate degree from Simmons University. She was a 2013 New Hampshire mentor to the New England Library Leadership Symposium and has served on the GMILKS board. Anybody that has wants any other information about this can contact Diane at dianeeh@goffstownlibrary.com or visit www.goffstownlibrary.com. Congratulations to Diane. She's not here, but round of applause for Diane. Is there anybody here at this time for public comment? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Public Works Director? We're at tab 4.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, this is a carryover item from last week. Sorry I couldn't be here for the meeting. So, as you know, we had a couple of bid openings recently for a six-wheel dump truck with a plow package and a one-ton pickup truck, also with a plow package. Both bids were received. We did have multiple bidders for the six-wheel and for the body, and one bidder with two different bids for the pickup truck. In your packet, you've got the financial analysis there, or the results of the bid, I should say. The biggest, I think, the sticking point at the last meeting probably is the fact that we were over on our previous awards. We had a couple of solid waste bids, in particular at the beginning of the year, earlier in the year, that were significantly over. I have the amounts in the memo here. Our live trailer was about $36,000 over what we had budgeted, a year plus ago when we did the CIP for 22, and the curbside packer truck and the body combo was about $33,000 over what we had estimated. Of course, we've had some pretty significant inflation in the last 12 months. So at the time when we awarded each of those, there was some, at least, comment to the fact that we're either going to have to defer or move some money when future awards were made, knowing that we had a fair amount of equipment this year for replacement. So what I would like to do, rather than defer equipment this year, would be take advantage of the recently passed SB 401 funds. So if you recall from a month or so ago, there were two pieces to that piece of legislation that affected public works related activities. There were some other things that didn't affect public works, but the two pieces for us were some additional bridge aid funding, about $360,000 I think for that, and about $360,000 of additional highway block grant type funding. They're treated slightly differently because it was part of a one-time piece of legislation, but both those funding amounts are held in non-lapsing status, but anything that any eligible highway spending under a block grant situation would be also an eligible purchase under the SB 401 funds. I would like to propose, since we've, the crux of that legislation really was obviously pandemic recovery, some of the inflation control measures, that sort of thing. Now this is a pass-through from federal funds that have been given to the state. I'd like to recommend that we use a portion of those funds to offset, our overall overage, what we would have an overage in the CIP lines, to get this highway equipment. I included in my memo, I think you probably got it, the attachment, a couple of them, but one of them is the DOT's normal highway block grant one-pager that they have on the cover of their annual report for the block grant funds, which does mention that, highway maintenance or repair. So basically any, including equipment, anything that has to do with maintaining local roads, either building them, plowing them, etc. And then I also included at least the relevant portion of the actual SB 401, where they talk about how that anything that matches apportionment A, which is the piece of the block grant that's done by the number of miles of road you have, and then they prorate that to each of the towns based on the amount of miles that they have compared to other towns. So anything that would be eligible for highway block grant funds would be eligible under this. So one of the other big parts of this SB 401 fund was that it can't supplant local funding. It can only supplement local funding. So if we wanted to say taper down next year's road plan commitment from the town, we can't do that. We would have to spend in addition to. I think as it is, where every town's now been given extra funds, we're starting to hear, we haven't seen it yet ourselves, but starting to hear others are having a hard time lining up contractors even for paving or excavation type projects. I know Sewer most recently bid out, of course, the Louis Street project, and they had to go twice. And that was sort of at the early end of all of this, extra funds being made available. So there's going to be a fair amount of competition in the near couple of years to try to get somebody to even do extra work. So a long way of me saying that if we strictly wanted to spend this money on road rebuild, for instance, or pay a contractor to do a section of road, it's going to come at a premium. And I'm not sure if we're, contracting out, of course, always costs us a little bit more anyway. We may have a harder time getting competition, so it might be a less cost-effective method down the road of spending these funds. Whereas the equipment, if we defer, we're just gonna feel that pain at some point, either next year or the year after when we start to snowball the CIP. So that would be my recommendation. We were about 68,000, I think, 69,000 over between those two earlier purchases. So that would be the amount that we'd either have to defer or pull from SB 401, or take from other budget lines, but I don't really have a great source on that. If you want to talk about that, I have to come back with a recommendation from where to pull from, from the regular budget.
Derek, is this considered a one-time purchase when it goes to the default?
The use of the funds or the purchase of the vehicles?
Well, both, because
So
one's a
the- so-
revenue.
So what we have typically done is we have viewed that DPW has a vehicle replacement schedule. So the amount that was approved at town meeting this year would go in the default budget.
Okay, but
Not the amount expended, the amount
That's my question.
approved. The amount approved at, so these additional, was it 68,000? The additional 68,000 would not go into default.
okay. Anybody else got any questions?
Adam, which one had the warranty, the $9,000?
That would be the six-wheel truck, the heavier of the two. Those have paid off. We've started to try to include that in almost every purchase for those bigger trucks, just because there's so much going on with them. And especially when there's a separate company that does the body upfit, it never fails. There's some interaction between the body components and the electrical system of the body, or the chassis rather, that you have some potential for a warranty type repair.
So do you want a motion on that? To use the funds? Do you need a motion, or?
Yes, I think if you look to the second page, the first item would be to recommend the award of those bids, and then you can do a separate motion to the overages related to the DPW CIP vehicles to come from the SB 401 funds.
Okay, let's see it. Anybody got any questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we recommend the award of the six-wheel cab and chassis to Allegiance Truck of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $118,089.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 500. Kelly, want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to award the body and plow gear to Viking Sibs of Wilston, Vermont, in the amount of $99,200.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Collis. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 500.
Recommend the award of the one-ton pickup truck to Grappone Ford of Concord, New Hampshire, in the amount of $45,030.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 500.
Next is use the block grant to cover the New Hampshire DOT highway, SB 401 bill to cover the money.
Cover the
Cover the
overage.
overages.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
overages.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Collis. I'm sorry, Jim. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Parks and Rec Director.
How are we doing?
Good.
Excellent.
We all should have a map in front of us.
Excellent. So I'm here to talk about the boat ramp, excuse me, and kind kind of show you some different options of what we kind of came up with investigating and looking into the process. As you can see on that paper there, we gave you 3 different options. The commissioners actually kind of looked at these options as well at their last meeting, last Wednesday night. The bottom line is we have a type A system. That's what it is, not type A. A type A boat ramp system, which is planks that are about 12 foot in length and 12-inch in width and 6 inches in thickness, and they're all interlocked together. It's a system that's used in small lakes, smaller lakes, that kind of thing. And Collis says, what, 20 years old or at least? Good 20, you know, so it's been around for 20 years. Waiting to really see what you have after the drawdown, to really see what you have out there. What you can see is there's something called power loading. When a boater is going to put their boat onto the trailer, they thrust up to get the thing up, to get the boat up. And you can see down in the end of that area, that's where a lot of that thrust is kind of just pushing the stone away. There is no monies whatsoever budgeted for this project. So kind of looking at it, I'll throw some numbers at you, throw some ideas at you, and then I think from there, we figure out what plan we want to go with. The newer style, let me finish what I was going to say. The newer style that is used is a Type B planking system, which is still 12 feet in width, but each one is about 3 foot in width. And those are all galvanized, locked, linked together, and they butt right up against one another, where the Type A has a 3-inch, 2-inch gap in between and is filled with stone. So the newer plank system is a more widely used system, which really helps with the power loading from the boats and stuff like that. If you look at each one of these Type A planks to get a new one engineered, it is about $800 per plank. The issue that we have is we have a very narrow window. We have winter coming in. We have the water looking to be starting to fill back up in probably, what, 1st of November?
The low date is supposed to be October 20th, and then it's supposed to remain low for about a week while they do the repairs, and then at that point they'll start refilling.
So we figure about a November 1 fill. So anyhow, what we're suggesting is to, at the very least, take what we have and work with what we have. So maybe go out and we get 20 to 25 new planks. There are planks. I think you have some pictures of, yeah, okay. You do have some pictures where you can see the planks have decayed and fallen apart, especially at those points where I call the knuckle points, where they're going to actually join together with the metal braces. So they're a little abrasive. So there's probably a good 10 of those that could be replaced. And then after looking at this whole system, we're looking at the section that is out of the water. There's a lot of burnout, a lot of tear up. So to extend those planks up about another 14 feet. So what we were proposing is to get 25 new planks, have a contractor, we got a quote from a contractor to do this job. Basically torch out the ones that are still connected and broken and remove, put down a new bed of stone, re-level it, and fix the power wash area down in the end there where you can see like a big bowl down the end down there. Fix that up and put in some heavier stone that will last a little longer. So if you look at an option 3 on your paper, you're looking at roughly $34,000. And if we were gonna go with, if we were gonna put down these new type B planks, we would never be able to do it in the time frame we have, because they already have, I've gone through a corporation that makes these planks, Mitchie Corp. They already have orders in place, so there's no way that we'd even be able to get into the type B. A type B plank is about $1,600 per plank, and this type A is $800 per plank. We're gonna go under a permit by notification with the state. Adam helped us out with that, speaking to a woman up there in the DES, and she said that's what we could go for. We have that all lined up. There is a piece in there, I put in there, if we were to have a outside engineering firm do a peer review, that would be $2,500 for that peer review. This is all part of that 34. I don't, honestly, I'm a Parks and Rec guy. I don't see why you gotta have a peer review, but I don't know how that world works. I think we got some pretty darn good engineers on staff that know what's going on. But anyhow, so you can maybe save $2,500 there. And we got about a $10,000 quote on getting the job done by an outside contractor. So you have a lot of variables. No contract, no monies allocated, budgeted for it, and then also probably budget, what am I trying to say? Purchasing policy type of things.
Derek, do we have impact fees we could use for this?
Well, impact fees, don't you have to go in front of CIP a year before and say, this is the project that we're using?
That has been the process that we've followed in the past.
Yeah, but did we know a year ago that we were gonna have any water in the lake that we could fix this?
We did not.
Do we have any monies that we won't be
That's what I'm
using?
asking, I don't know, do we have any, is there any funds in?
Yes, Danielle can probably provide us the, or I can call it the latest report.
Would that qualify as a project to use impact fees for?
Does it expand the type of boats that can utilize, or is it a repair of existing maintenance?
I'm going with it's a repair.
And then you're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to.
Right.
We can do it on the roads because you have increased traffic, but I would say,
Well, we got increased traffic and boats over there, I can tell you that. Go ahead.
I have a ton of questions. Can I start?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
I will do the best I can.
Okay, great. So the first is, you mentioned the difference between type A and B. Is type A sufficient for the type of volume that we do in Glen Lake and the amount of people coming in and out?
My personal gut, listening to how this works, I don't think it's the right application. I think it's an application that'll get us by. It got us by for 20 years. But I think the type of boats that are utilizing this area have bigger engines now, and I think it's not the right application. But we gotta fix it because it's a mess. You gotta fix it. You gotta do something.
Okay. So my next question is, realizing the time frame in which the water's down and we're able to maneuver this fix more easily, is it necessary to have the water down to make this fix? Are we jumping on it because it's easier? Is it cost effective?
As I
Like, why are
said,
we
I'm gonna
pushing-
qualify that with an answer that I'm the Parks and Recreation Director. And I think, common sense speaking, absolutely, with the water down, it makes it a much easier fix, a lot, probably less expensive. If you have water in place, you might have to build some little blockades around and add a little more expenditure to get the job done. That's my assumption.
Can I just ask Carl, since you dealt with this, haven't you?
Yeah, so Rick, can I ask you a couple of questions? So have you had any conversations with Fish and Game about this yet?
In what regards?
Well, they have a fund, they have what's called the Public Waterways Access Advisory Board, and they provide monies to construct, repair, and refurbish, which is what we're talking about here, public access to water bodies. So I think we fit in that slot. However, I have a concern with the PBN because oftentimes PBM can't be used if there's what's called an NHB hit for an endangered species, which is the dwarf wedge mussel, which is in Glen Lake, but there's ways to get around that. If you can coordinate the time of construction with Fish and Game to say we won't construct, we'll only construct in this window so as not to pose a threat to the dwarf wedge mussels. So I think there's ways to get around that and still stay within the PBM framework, because otherwise you're gonna get kicked out into a nasty whole long drawn-out individual permit process. So I didn't know if you had any conversations with them at all. I mean, and for example, when we built that in 2002, we used the funds from that public access advisory board pool of money to buy the planks, to have Fish and Game come down, use their equipment to put it in. So that was how that whole thing came about. I think this still falls within it because refurbish is specifically used in the language of the statute, the enabling statute for this. So I'd be happy to help work with you on some of this.
Well,
if you'd like.
like I said, no, I have not spoken to them with regards to that. And to get this product and stuff made, if you wanna go down that road, I'm not promising a darn thing.
I'm just looking for money.
Whatever, I'm just telling you, product, and application and getting things made.
Yeah.
I think there's an extreme tight window with that. But, you know, the way I look at this too is, this might be a project that we now see, we fix and do the best we can to make this operable for the next 5, 10 years, and then say, okay, fine, now we gotta really look at developing a much better system.
Kelly?
Just my 2 cents.
So, okay. All right, so you told us that type A, it's really not a good choice, so it doesn't really make sense for us to spend all this money replacing it with the same system that in your professional opinion doesn't serve our needs, right? So, if we
But
look.
remember what
No.
you keep saying, it's Parks and Rec.
No.
Well,
Don't
I
twist
mean,
what
you
you
know
just,
better than I do.
you just twisted those words. No.
Nope,
What I'm
that's
saying.
exactly what you said, right?
Okay, then that's what I said. I honestly think you try and fix it to the best you can right now to get that thing operable. And then I think you have to do a lot of investigative work when you have plenty of time to do so. And then say, all right, what are we gonna do to fix this?
Right, so along those lines, the first option says quick fix. And there's not a full cost associated with this option.
Nope.
Do we even know if this is possible to do within the time frame of less than a month with a week's time frame for work?
I think if we can have this thing done by mid-November, we'd be fine.
Right, but I mean,
I think we can get the planks in time,
how do you know that?
because I know they have 10 planks already ready to go. So they would only need to build 10 more,
Okay.
That's for option 3.
option 3.
Who supplies those recordings?
I'm looking at Mitchie Corp. They
How they do it
supply,
when the lake's full?
Mitchie Corp does a lot of the
They
Fed.
do a rate per drawdown, but it's not a 30-foot drawdown, it's the annual,
Oh, yeah, the new,
yeah. So that's the way they typically do it, and they've done it that way in the past.
I wasn't listening to what you said.
I was asking them how they normally do it when it's not 30 feet down.
Oh, yeah. The state sent me a PowerPoint on how they do it. It's pretty interesting how they do it. You know, they put those metal, they create like a dam, you know, they put those metal bars that seam together and kind of put them all the way around, drive them into the
Yeah.
ground.
Sheet piling,
Sheet pile, yeah.
yeah,
And looks pretty intensive.
You make like a cofferdam.
yeah, exactly.
Cofferdam,
Work
that was the
inside of
word.
it, you're pumping out work inside of it.
That was the word, cofferdam.
So with I went and took a look at it and saw the ones that are jutted up. All the metal pieces that are broken in between the ones that are still level though, do those need to be replaced as well, or are we just talking?
No, not replacing all of them, no.
Yeah, I understand that. So we would take out, re-level, put the ones that are good back in, replace the ones that are broken, fixed, but what about the connector pieces between the ones that are currently in there? Are they all good?
The
other than
ones,
the ones-
that's why we're ordering at least another 20 to say, okay, we haven't totally investigated per se every single one of those planks. And then if you take one out and you break it, I don't know, I mean, that could happen too. You gotta have a little supply ready to go, just in case you break one. But you basically have to, the ones that are still intact, meaning intact, bolted together, you're still gonna have to torch those off so that you can pick them up and then fill back underneath, so.
Now, how you connect them back up, torch them back together?
No, just a bolt, galvanized bolt. They're, what they are is actually, it's pretty interesting. It's just galvanized bolts that, they have like 2 fingers coming out, and then there's a bolt that just goes through, ties them both together.
Okay.
So it's articulating, they can move up and down.
Yes.
And then during the winter, when
Yeah,
the
that
pushes, that
makes
allows
sense.
them to move a little bit.
Right, and that's, I think that's, the benefit of this is it gives you more fluctuation for freeze, thaw, et cetera.
And I would
But
think.
those bigger planks, looking into that, because of their weight and because of the way they're designed, they're more durable for that, fluctuation of ice and freeze and thaw.
Yeah, because what you see there a lot is the ice push, pushes those things when the ice forms, and it pushes them up and it buckles them up.
If you take a close look at what we have over there right now, it's probably a good 6 inches. There's 5 or 6 planks that have literally pushed down a little bit, about 6 inches. And that's probably from the, all those are snapped, and that's probably from the,
So, you pull all of these out, I just wanna get an idea, you pull all of these out, and then you just start resetting them.
yeah.
So, would it be, the wise thing to do is you take your 20 new ones, put them all the way to the end, and then, that way if you had to, Dave's shaking his head, that way if you had to replace the other ones, you don't have to draw so far down the water.
Could make a lot of sense, Pete. The other thing too is the ones that are further down in the water, that are much further down in the water, look pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
They look pretty healthy,
Yes.
you know?
I've been there, take a look at it.
So I mean, that's the thing, so I think we can, there's a total right now of 38, 39 planks from the water's edge all the way down in, currently, right now.
Carlos, I thought, I read that there weren't any of those, they haven't found any of those mussels you were talking about in that report.
In the report that came in on Friday, they said the dam operator said they had relocated 70,000 mussels and they had not encountered any of the endangered ones that you
Dwarf
mentioned.
wedge.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's good.
correct.
They haven't found any of those.
Yeah, good, good.
So far, yeah. Another question?
Yeah, I
Go ahead,
think
Cal.
a lot of this, Pete, I think is gonna be, you're gonna have to take it as you go, you know, look at one of those connectors, does it need to be replaced or not?
Yeah,
Can you
I
put-
understand.
Can you put another piece next to it, sister it up and weld it to get by with that?
I
think a
don't
lot-
know if you could do that.
I guess my point is gonna be as you go, right?
Yeah.
This one we can
As
do this
built.
with, this one we're gonna have to take out and replace.
Because these are all, this is a mechanism, the galvanized rod system that's actually built into precast concrete. So it's all you have, so you have the galvanized bar going into the concrete, and then exiting the concrete is the,
Kelly had no questions.
So on the second option, Rick, you had a contractor, is this an estimate from Nolts, $10,000?
yes,
And what does that work entail? Labor and aggregate included?
yes.
So why wouldn't that be included in the first section for the quick fix?
And the quick fix, I'm sure it probably could be. But I'm telling, that, what my quick fix was, lipstick on a pig, 100% of the way. Thanks, Adam.
Can the pig approach?
But the very first project, you don't buy anything. You take the planks that are there, whatever you have, you torch them out, you pull them out, you put some new material down, Kelly, call it a day.
So would you be enlisting DPW's help for that, or you?
I'm not enlisting anybody for that. I'm just saying that's what I would do, and how you all want to make that happen, I'm fine. If you want that to happen, thank you, Adam. If you want a contractor to do that, then we'll have a contractor.
What I'm
$10,000.
getting at,
That's
Rick,
10 grand.
is that there's a cost here, and
Be about 10
I don't
grand.
see an RFP for that scale of work. So my next question would be, are we going around the RFP process for work?
So you need
And
three
purchase
quotes,
of-
you'd need three quotes for 10,000 to 25,000, or 24,999.
That was part of my original statement. We got a lot of things going on here.
Right, Adam, did you want to jump in here?
I was just gonna add this to the conversation. We did, as part of the prep to submit a permit by notification for Rick, engineering did send out a letter to Fish and Game for the data check requirement. We did receive a response back the other day based on the anticipated scope of work, negative result, ellipsis, no further consultation with Fish and Game pursuant to Fish Rules 1004 is required. So as far as they're concerned, that piece is okay. So that's what I have to add there. As far as DPW work, with a short notice, and obviously I'm trying to finish our stuff too, about the only wiggle room I'd have would be for like some overtime type stuff, either a day off on a Monday until Columbus Day, but then we go back to 5-day weeks, so it'd have to be like a weekend type thing if the board's interested in going that route, but we'll help wherever we can for
All right,
sure.
let's lay this out the way it's supposed to be. Number one,
Thanks.
the planks, right? The planks are how much?
800 per.
Oh, 20,
Oh, if you want to get 20, well, 800 times, what's that, $16,000
$16,000.
for 20-ish.
For 20. You had 500 for bolts? 500-ish.
And this is the only company who fabricates this stuff? This is the exact price for these things?
Yes.
Okay.
And then if we're gonna have somebody do it, it's another $10,000.
Yes.
So 26.5.
So then we have a,
Approximately.
Actually, you need,
So option 3, he's got 25 planks.
yeah, so you're gonna cut it down to 20
And
planks.
Option 2, all these are, so option 2 had 10 planks.
And the
But we
500
talked
for
about
bolts.
20 planks. Now you're saying, didn't you say 20 planks, one of the projects?
25. For 20 planks, we can make it. If you want 20 planks, we'll make it work with 20 planks.
Well, you got a little bump there in case you break one, that's what you said.
Sure.
That's what he said.
That's what I said. Sure.
So where would we find $26,500?
That's why I'm asking you.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
That's why I'm asking you.
I got the fire chief and the police chief here. We already know DPW is behind the 8 ball. They can't help out.
Call it a bridge funding.
Any ideas, Derek?
I'd add, make that $1,000 for nuts and bolts. Don't make it 500.
So the board would have the ability, you do always have the ability, under RSA 32 to transfer funds. I know in my budget, you do have some under expended lines because of staff shortages that we've left vacant. I also have a parking lot project for here at Town Hall that we have not been able to source that out at this point. So you could transfer funds from that and move that project to a future year, potentially in 2024 when DPW does Church Street. I believe Rick had some money in his CIP line for engineering analysis of the new pool. So I think you have funds both in CIP, but also, like I said, in the town hall budget and personnel lines that you could pull from. And you could use your powers under the budget transfer.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna speak for police and fire, but I'm going to, because I think both your departments use the ramp, don't you, for emergency rescues and training, both open water and ice and whatnot? Is there any money in your budget so you can kick in to help lighten the load a bit?
Don't all speak
I'll
at once.
kick in $2,500 out of Parks and
I
Rec
think-
operation.
There you go.
2,500.
Knowing,
That fund you were talking about.
I would say
some
that
time.
both
We'd have to
police
go
and
some-
fire are gonna be a little bit tighter on their personnel lines, than we are here at Town Hall.
So you're confident you can come up with $27,000?
Between the personnel lines, again, we've had the zoning administrator job that has been vacant and that work has been distributed to myself and the land use staff for 9 months now. We are significantly behind in that work, but yes, in that position alone, there would be enough for 27,000, and again, we have not brought forward a contract for the parking lot work that needs to be done here as well, so.
Mark, do you have any questions?
Nope. I share Rick's concerns. I mean, I see the boats in and out of there. I mean, they're not little boats anymore. They're very large power boats. Some have 2-3 engines on the back of them. And, I mean, we don't fix it now, it's gonna cost us more later, and
Cal?
Oh, I just had a question, probably. So I guess with this, oh, here's the first one. Okay, the Hoyle and Tanner peer review, why do we have to do the $2,500 permit application review?
Yeah, I'm not sure
We
what-
don't
Why do we
have
to
to,
do that?
but that's if we, I don't know how to explain that. That's if we want to have backing from a private firm looking at what we're doing. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
I mean, I'd question that as well. I mean,
My
we-
question would just be to Adam, does a permit by notification have a peer review requirement?
No,
No.
that I do know.
There's a savings there.
Yeah,
A little bit,
I
I
would question
guess.
that as well. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is.
I mean, if,
I mean, typically it's to have one engineer review the work of another engineer, but we've got engineers doing the work, so.
I don't know if it's, I'm not gonna say another word.
I mean, I would say if they're not comfortable doing it, then that would be appropriate, I suppose, because who else could check? I don't know what kind of permits for.
I would
DES
think that we
need,
would
but-
come up with, they would come up with a set of specs along with our town engineer. And then our town engineer could periodically check and see that it's being done properly. Would that be accurate, Adam? Thanks.
Okay.
I mean, if our in-house engineers aren't comfortable with it, then we'd go outside and hire an outside engineer.
It doesn't look like it's
But
rocket
this is
science.
This is different.
No, it's not.
This is totally different.
This is pretty much cut and dry.
Okay.
Kelly?
Great. And then I'm just gonna go back to, if we don't think this is a good system for us, do we just do quick fix number 1?
Well, it's been there 20 years already.
Yes.
Right, but if if we're gonna do a study on it and all this stuff, we're gonna spend $30,000 on it,
Well, then we're not gonna do it now then.
that's what I'm
Because,
saying.
isn't that what you said, you can't get that product?
Oh, no, yeah, exactly. If, to get the type B planks in there, there's no way you're gonna get it in there. Not in the block of time we have. I don't, in all honesty, I mean, somebody might say this is crazy money just to spend. It'll help you out. It'll get you by. I mean, I think probably a good 8 years down the road, CIP wise, we're gonna have to put that in there and say, you know, this needs to be looked at.
And then we go through the proper procedures, go through
And-
DES or go through Fish and Game and.
I mean, in 20, I think 5, 6 years out, I put in there to redo the whole Glen Lake area anyhow. So within that project, that scope of work could all be included, you know, fixing up that whole area.
So this quick fix isn't really plausible then?
That's option 1, you're saying? No, I think that was kind of sarcastic on my side.
Okay,
Nice guy.
all right.
All right, anybody-
That would be a total waste. I mean, I think what we're doing is a very honorable
Circumventing.
thing to do.
You all set?
Yep.
Carlos, you want anything?
No, I just hate doing things twice. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's get in there and do it right the first time. Doing a quick fix and then coming back and throwing more money at it again, to me, never seems to be a prudent thing to do. But it will get us by, there's no question.
Jim?
No, I'm okay, either do that, either do it so it's gonna be, so it's worthwhile doing now, or wait and see that group that Carlos was talking about and see if they wanna pay for it somewhere down the road. But, is there, can I ask, I didn't hear that, is there a problem now
Oh, yeah.
with it?
Yeah,
What is it?
Well, the planks are uneven.
But
okay?
how does that affect the
The
boats and things
person
like?
pulling in and out, it puts more drag as they're trying to get their boat, their vehicle out of the water.
Yeah.
Because the boat gets caught, not the boat, the trailer gets caught and jammed up, so there's more drag, and it beats the heck out of the ramp, and it probably isn't that good for vehicles either. I mean, it makes the vehicle work. And then also, where you have that power-up area, the stones have kind of kicked up quite a bit, so if you have a bigger boat comes in, it tends to bottom out on that section. That's just
Okay.
stuff I've been told. I'm no expert on this, but
Okay, good.
just going by what, you know,
Just
folks.
remember, he's a Parks and Rec director.
So-
I'll never
I didn't
forget that.
mean it, I
I'll
didn't.
I'll never forget that.
But I'm not scared to try stuff.
All right, anybody else?
Well, just, I guess, to be on board with this, I want to know a time frame for delivery and an RFP for construction. To see if it's actually even possible that we can get them.
Oh, gotcha, I gotcha.
If they say we can't do it till January, then
If
it's
you
off
give me the
off
green
table.
light to spend this money, I will call tomorrow
I just
and
want
I
an
will.
answer.
Well, it's the only answer I can give you.
Yep.
I mean, if I don't have a green light to tell these people to build the product, if I have to wait for a green light for that, that's only prolonging that process. So
Who wants to make a
I don't
motion
think
to
I'll
give
ever
Rick
answer
the
your
green
question.
light?
I'm not clear, what's the total cost for number one, the quick fix, Rick?
I'd say at least 10 grand.
Okay, 10,000.
He said that was his sarcastic.
Is at least 10 grand.
Okay.
Because if you have a contractor come in, they're gonna spend time cutting those out, putting in material, etc.
And we're talking 27 if we go with
Adding some-
replacing 20 of them.
Replacing some planks that are busted up.
Well, that's, yeah,
It's
that's
the, on the
21.
next page.
That's 21.
It's like 34, 500 or
Sorry.
something.
34,000.
Yeah.
Which might be a little bit less because we're not spending 2,500 on the,
Yeah.
well,
period.
Tanner and
Period.
buy 4 more piers.
Well, I'll make a motion, what the heck, let's take some action here. I'll make a motion to go with option one.
1 or 2?
I'm sorry, wait a minute, let me,
2's the one where we're replacing planks.
3 was the 25.
yeah, option two, that's the 21-4, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, option two, thank you.
It's 10 planks.
Oh, excuse me?
10 planks.
Yes.
With no
He
peer
he
review.
was just talking about 20 planks before.
No, I'm talking about.
I know, but he just was talking about replacing 20 planks.
You mentioned 20 planks.
Yeah, then you backed that up. You said.
Yeah, I did.
So,
Yeah.
option two, the cost is 21-4.
Right, and that's for 8 to 10 planks.
Yeah.
If he goes with the 20 planks,
Yeah.
it's 27.
Yep. So my motion's for option two.
So if he breaks any of the planks and we run short, then what are we gonna do?
Let's start first.
Yeah.
We don't have a second yet. Somebody wants to second it for discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, now, Mark, you want to
All
discuss
right,
it?
so now, I understand the 10 planks, and I understand the savings, but these planks have been in the water for a very long time. What happens if we break 10 of them? Then where are we gonna be, Carlos?
Well,
Getting a new
gonna have to
contract.
replace them. I mean, that's, you know.
How
and
many
that-
are actually broken? Like, the concrete's broken?
There's a good 10, minimum, that we can see. We haven't dug up fully and,
When you say they're broken, Rick, are they actually like split in half, or are they just like edge chipping away? I see. you
yeah,
put-
edge, more edge chipping.
Yeah.
I can't see if there's any fracture, callus.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
can-
did
can see
not,
the
and when
corner.
you, once you move it, I don't know if that fracture will be prevalent.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where you're going, I understand your thought, but my fear is we buy the 10 planks and we break 10 more planks and we have to shorten that ramp, or we don't complete the job, or we have to come back, Rick's gotta come back to the board and say, gee, I need another 10 planks.
Well, I guess my thought on that is you have to take an educated guess on this. They've been in there 20 years. We've had a bunch of vehicles going up and down, including fire apparatus,
Yep.
up and down to draw water. So, I mean, they've been exposed to some pretty significant loading. I would think if they were gonna break, they would have broken by now. But nothing's a sure thing.
I'm confused. No, I only was confused if I looked at option 2 and then you're thinking
Option 2 and option 3 are basically the identical thing with less planks, which is buying 10 planks.
But you got a cost of $34,000 on option 3.
Because you're adding more planks. And you're adding more hardware. More hardware.
But how did we come up with 27,000 then?
I think you were doing the math
You
on
were doing
20
the math.
planks, not
20 plank
25.
At
And then,
16,000.
yep, and then there was a difference in hardware as
And
well.
then
We added $1,000 for hardware.
Yep,
And contracted at 10.
That contract came up with 27,000.
That's how you came up with 27.
Now, we're still paying the $10,000 for the
Actually, it'd be
contractor.
27,400, because you gotta do a $400 permit.
That's coming out of your paycheck.
Okay.
Contractor is still $10,000, whether you're doing 20 planks or
Yeah.
8 planks.
Yes, yeah, because you gotta move it all around.
But the cost will be the same for 20 planks instead of 10?
The cost for,
What the contractor's gonna charge for labor?
yeah, because he has to move and
He's gonna remove all the planks anyway.
I'm just asking, we
Yeah.
don't have an RFP,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know what the conversation was.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor by Collis, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
opposed,
Opposed. My motion would be go with the $27,400.
exactly.
Yeah. 20 planks.
That includes 20 planks, $1,000 in hardware, $10,000 in contractor,
contractor.
$400 for a permit. What? Speak.
I'm gonna, we just did the motion, it lost. I'm gonna make another motion that we go for $27,400, for the repair and,
Just previously discussed.
yes.
I'll second that one.
Jim seconded that. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining, motion passes. 27,400, Derek's gonna find it.
Under RSA 32.
I'm sorry, but thank you very much. I know this is really epic and confusing, but it'll be good.
So when will we have the construction RFP?
You'll do an RFP tomorrow and send it out to them.
So it would not be an RFP. Under the town's purchasing policy, he would have to reach out to vendors to get 3 quotes or document why he was unable to get 3 quotes.
That's fine.
Sure.
So,
All set, Rick?
yes, I am. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Now, here comes the police chief. He's got money to spend. Come on up, police chief.
He's probably looking for money too.
Yeah, better not be looking for money for a boat.
Nope, I don't need a vote.
Have a ramp.
We're just looking for the basic necessities of.
I saw the Goffstown fireboat down in Manchester running around in the river down there. I don't know what the hell.
So, good evening. I'm here to just give you guys a quick update from our CIP vehicle purchase. So, You have in front of you in your packet, Lieutenant Bernard, who oversees our purchasing, sent me a memo this week. We, in April, after the budget passed, we ordered our 3 cruisers from McFarland Ford, who had the state bid. Apparently, we got an email this week from McFarland informing us that Ford has canceled their orders for 2022. I don't know if it's because they can't keep up with the ordering, but us and several other agencies around us and other different organizations have lost their orders. So we're kind of without cruisers. McFarland was nice enough to order the 23s for us on our behalf for $44,000 apiece that we're not obligated to purchase, but they figured they'd order them just in case we wanted them. So our original numbers here were $32,500 for our original cars, and now they're $44,000. We did find a Ford dealer in Massachusetts, McGovern, who actually has 3 22s on their lot. They are essentially the same thing that we currently have with the color that we have, which is unusual. And we had a quote from them on Monday that they could sell them to us for $35,384, which is roughly about $8,500 more for the 3 of them. So, coming to you guys to let you know this is where we're at. We have a budget in CIP. If we were to go with the McGovern Fords, we'd probably need to overexpend that anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the outfitting for our CIP. If not, we could probably just get away with buying 2 this year and outfitting 2, and we would have some savings, but kind of need 3. Part of this packet and part of my ask for this is we're seeing these newer cruisers have more downtime. I know that the board has seen their actions matrix that Car 9 has been at either auto fair or unique with many issues. We finally have it back, and they still haven't figured out what the electrical issues are with it. So this is kind of where we're at with these orders. So I would like to see if the board would allow me to go with McGovern and purchase the 22s at $35,384. They have them on their lot now, and we could probably go get them. If we choose to find the money from Derek's budget for the $44,000, we wouldn't be able to get them until the end of the year and to next year anyways. So that's kind of where we're at, and I'd like to see if the board would allow me to purchase these ones that is outside of our budget, and kind of see if we're going to go over, if you'd allow me to see if I could have some savings in my operating lines and pull some of that money over.
I think that'd be the big question first, is where you're gonna find the money.
I do have a position that hasn't been filled this year. I'm working on filling it right now. And I think I would have some savings in the wages line.
You think, or you know it does?
Well, I know it does.
All right.
I haven't filled the position yet, so we're pushing almost 10 months of that position empty. That was the Denise's retirement that Kelly took over, so Kelly's position, that records clerk position, hasn't been filled.
What's the savings there?
I don't know the exact number on that. I'd have to look into that.
Kelly?
Thank you. All right, so we have $2,853 each, just on cost alone, which brings us to $8,559 just on cost. What's a standard cost on outfitting?
We're running anywhere between $9,000 to $10,500.
Each.
Right. Then you add in Sousa's signs is about $1,500 each for the decals.
Okay. So we'll put 9,500 just for fun, 1,500 plus 2,853, so we're talking $13,853 per vehicle, with a total of $41,559 for all 3.
And we have $138,000 in CIP right now.
Okay.
And that 138 includes the upfitting?
Yes. And the decals from Sousa. And here's my other concern of the way Ford's been kind of moving forward is, it seems like every couple of years, we're getting a new car that has a wider body, a different dimension tire, which is causing us to have to spend more money in the outfitting. So we know what we're getting with the 22s. We know that Global, our outfitter, has the equipment in stock that will fit these cars. So
Chief, are they gonna come with a blue Ford Oval on them? Sorry, just trying to light things up.
actually, there is a section there, they were saying that we're gonna have to pay Global to take the decal that says Ford on the back off, because usually they come with it already removed.
I noticed, I think Bedford, they don't have them on their vehicles. It's
No.
one of the local communities.
Some of the communities I've seen have been going, they're testing Tahoes, Dodge Durangos, the Chargers, like, a lot of agencies are starting to kind of venture away from Ford and just testing different vehicles to see what their luck is with those.
And so you're saying you need 3 this year?
Well, to stay with our current way of doing business, I would like to get 3, because that
The
will,
replacement schedule?
yes.
Okay.
If we don't, I would ask the board to allow me to keep some of our cars on the line,
Increasing the fleet.
increasing the fleet.
Whenever we do that, increase the fleet, all of a sudden, it becomes an increased fleet forever. And then we start replacing, I don't know how that works.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. If you get these 3 vehicles, are we getting rid of anything
Eventually, yes, we'll be sending 3 over to Adam.
eventually?
Yep,
Eventually,
yes.
okay.
Typically, how it works is when we get them ordered, we get them in, they then go down to Global, and however long it takes Global to outfit them, and then they go to Sousa and get their decals, and then once we get them back and they're fully operational, we'll then take the old ones offline, bring them down, get them stripped out. Global will take all the equipment out of them, and then we'll get them over to Adam. I never have a timeline. It just depends on when we.
I didn't know if you meant you need to help hold them for maintenance
I
or
would-
vehicles offline or something like that.
I mean, what we're experiencing right now is we are averaging 2 to 3 cars offline for weeks. We're having an increase in details that are requiring more vehicles out on the street for details that the vendors are paying for. So we're seeing more and more of our vehicles out on the line every day. We have 2 SROs that are taking cars to the schools. We have, 3 detectives that share 2 cars. We have 7 staff members that are sharing cars. So there is a need to hold the cars until we get them fully operational before we send them over to Adam.
How much do we have in the special detail fund?
We have ballpark between $50,000 and $60,000 after we take out the seed money, the first 6 months that went into that revolving fund.
So that's where the money can come from his,
That's one. The chief said he has one position that's been vacant and a full year. Brand new officer with benefits, retirement, everything runs about $80,000.
but he's got enough, like we did in the past, we bought a vehicle out of that fund. Didn't we buy the pickup truck?
I believe we did.
Yeah.
The board went and you proposed an article to clarify that the revolving fund could be used for.
Well, he just stated that he's using a vehicle to go out on these special details and stuff that pay. So I don't see why we can't buy a vehicle, a brand-new vehicle out of there. So you would have the funds to buy 2 vehicles and fix them up, and then do the same thing with another vehicle.
Before I make we go forward with that, I'd like to get some input from Danielle. I know we talked about the revolving fund in the past when it came to that. And I just don't want to misquote myself. There was something about the seed money and then the money in versus the money out for St. A's details and when we have the big events.
Yeah, so, the seed money, as I had sent Derek some numbers there, that's already kind of backed out of that figure. I think 50 to 60 is as far as we could go, and that would nearly drain the account. So I think the chief's concern is, we have to have money to pay the officers. In the meantime, we do have the seed money. But with a lot of details coming up, I think he's just trying to keep that in mind. Is the idea potentially to purchase and outfit 2 of the 3 vehicles out of the CIP, start outfitting or purchasing the 3rd one out of as much CIP as we have appropriated,
Right.
and then just using
Pull it
the
from there.
Fund 70 for that gap?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
because
I think what I'd do is I would purchase a vehicle and then do the outfitting out of the CIP.
That would-
That way it's a clear-cut thing. You're gonna spend $35,384 out of that special fund, which is a vehicle, right, from McGovern. All right, and then take your outfit out of that CIP money, which was, that outfit money was already in CIP.
yes. Yeah.
That would be one way to do it. And then you're not draining the fund completely either. You're talking, if it's 50,000, you're still leaving 16,000 in there.
Because there's about 34 details from St. A's that we just posted. That's my only thing. We just posted about 34 details. And just depending on how fast that money goes in and out, so.
Yeah, there's a lag time between, when we pay the officer and when we actually get reimbursed or paid by the entity that's doing the hiring. So there's a gap there, but that seed money will help with the
Okay.
cash flow for that.
We can make it
Just
work.
use the money, the seed money for cash flow.
We can make it
And if
work.
the
You're not
math is,
spending it, you're just using it for cash flow.
Right.
and if the math is right, we're at 41,560, so it's a little bit less than 50,000.
Yeah, we can make it work.
Would it be the 35 though, just for the purchase of the vehicle?
Yeah, and then
I would take $35,384 and purchase the vehicle out of that fund. It's clean, there's no,
trying to figure out what
this
they-
on that, and
Right.
that on that, and then pay for the other stuff out of CIP.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right, any questions? Somebody want to make that motion? Lou?
Make a motion to allow the police chief to move forward with the purchase of 3 vehicles. 2 coming from his fund, and the other one, how do you want to word that?
It'd be 2 from
Revolving.
CIP
2 from CIP.
and 1 from
From
the
special.
special detail revolving fund.
Yeah.
Did I have a second on
Second.
that? Seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, the motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Chief, does that cost include a warranty? Maintenance warranty?
No, that'll be the next CIP question.
Derek, it's your turn.
Okay.
Tab 7.
So you have your committee meeting scheduled for the next 3 weeks. Tomorrow night at 6 PM, the Budget Committee tours the high school, and then you have a regular meeting following thereafter in the Media Center.
Yep, I'll be there.
Wednesday, 6:30 PM, the HCC at Grassmere Town Hall.
Yep.
7 PM, Conservation Commission.
Yes,
Next week, there is a joint school board and budget committee, the first school budget meeting at 6 PM.
I'll be there.
No meeting on Tuesday. On Wednesday at 6 PM, so there is a typo in your packet, it's actually at 6 PM. The EDC will be here in Town Hall.
Yep, I got it.
Thank you. And 6 PM will be the second joint meeting with school board and budget committee.
I'll be there.
And then in 3 weeks, I guess 2 weeks from tonight, Town Hall will be closed for Columbus Day holiday on Monday. On Tuesday at 6 PM, the Sewer Commission has a meeting in this room.
I got it.
And Thursday, Planning Board at 7 PM.
I have it.
One correction. We're talking about a possible meeting on Friday the 7th.
So that's, I guess, the next subject is, as we get into October and November, it becomes difficult to meet on the 2nd and 4th Mondays because of holidays. So the question then becomes, when can the board accommodate? So we have a couple different situations. The first is, we're requesting to meet the first week of October, on October 7th, which is a Friday. It's the Friday before Columbus Day weekend. And we have our MS 535, that's the financial report of the year ending 2021, and the MS 434, the revised revenues. Those are both required items before you can get into tax rate setting. That's why we would like to meet that first week of October. October 3rd and October 5th, again, you're having the joint meeting between school board and budget committee that Kelly would not be able to participate in both meetings. So the request would be the 7th of October, that Friday, if the board members are available to meet that week.
I will not be here, I'll be out of town.
I can make it.
I can make Thursday night, but I'm out of town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
What time are you leaving on Friday? Early?
Probably 9 o'clock in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock.
Going north?
Yep.
And you get home Thursday night?
I don't get home till Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, really.
I mean, we can keep Monday, I just won't be there. Because I don't want to miss that first school board.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna be here Monday either.
Oh, that's right.
That's why we changed it, because you and I both weren't gonna be here. Well, I guess.
Can we do the 4th on a Tuesday?
Pete will be gone.
I'll be gone. I'm gone that week.
Oh, you're gone the week.
I'll get back on Thursday night. That's why I did Friday.
We could potentially push to the next week, but I wouldn't want to push it beyond the 12th. Again, that 535 and 434 are one of the key components before you can get into the queue for tax rate setting.
Mark, would you be able to call in maybe? On Friday night?
The cell services, I can try. I mean, I definitely, yeah, I mean, I was thinking of that. I don't know what, you know,
It's not gonna be that much on the agenda, or is there?
We just have to get that in.
We
Those
just have to get that forms done, right? The 434 and the 535?
Yes, there may be an update on the EV, the electronic vehicle grant from DPW at that point. We also have the bid award for the audit, the 3-year audit from 2022 to 2024, and then there may be a hiring recommendation. But other than that,
That's not that heavy.
it's not terribly heavy. And again,
Well, let's just move forward with that, Mark. You try to call in.
yep.
okay, so 10/7 at 6 PM, or do you want to do a little bit earlier, as it's a Friday?
You wanna do 5:30?
I'm
Kelly?
good. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay with me?
Okay,
5:30.
Jim, 5:30?
Yep, good, yep.
You'll be off the golf course by then?
Can't
Yes.
golf, look, he broke his finger.
I'll be ready.
All right, buddy.
So then the other question becomes your later meetings. The Budget Committee has requested joint meetings with the Select Board for initial budget presentations. That was what the school board is accommodating, and they're doing those at the Media Center. So I guess Danielle and I, our request to honor that request, would you consider 2 meetings on, one on Tuesday the 18th and Tuesday the 25th? It would get you off schedule
Also at the high school, so that
at the high
there's
school,
space for everyone.
so that
to
there's
sit.
space for everybody at
I'm
the,
around for those.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
and we would maintain the meeting on the 24th for tax rate setting and any other regular business that comes up.
Right.
So we do the 18th, 24th, and 25th.
Yes,
And then
and the 7th.
select board will start, no, budget committee will start deliberations after that.
No, you will start
Sorry,
deliberations
select board will
after, so
start
that's gonna be
deliberations after
joint
that.
presentations. And then you will, at your meetings as you move into November, you will
Right.
So will we
deliberate.
start every week in November?
we'll have to talk about that because we were trying to avoid the 31st of October.
Halloween.
Thank you.
But yes, we will start meeting probably every week till you have the budget deliberations done on
Okay.
those Mondays.
Alrighty.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you. At your next page, you have your consent agenda for this week. You have a resignation of a per diem GTV videographer and a merit increase for a firefighter that received their AEMT. You have the warrant for the 2022 New Hampshire general election. This is notifying voters of the time and location. You have out-of-state travel notification for 2 employees from the IT office. There's a deposit voucher for Grassmere Town Hall Restoration Fund in the amount of $10. And there's an event permit for the PMC Kids bike ride that's sponsored by St. Anselm College.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Kelly. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
At your next page, you have the list of tax collector deeds. This is for the 2019 tax year. We have only one property that has not come to payment arrangement or paid off the 2019 liens, and that is map 41, lot 18. This is on Mountain Ave. The recommendation from the tax collector is to accept and execute the tax collector's deed, and both Conservation and Planning Board reviewed this as well, and they both recommended that the town take this property by tax deed.
And there were no updates to payments.
There were no updates of payments on Friday or on today.
I'll make a motion to accept and execute the tax collector's deed as presented.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Mark. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
At tab 7D, we've been notified by the Attorney General's office that the state has entered into a settlement agreement with Janssen Pharmaceuticals and Johnson & Johnson for opioid relief abatement. As you recall, in the fall last year, for those members that were on the board, you did a similar settlement with 3 of the pharmaceuticals. That was a nationwide settlement. In this case, the state of New Hampshire has entered into their own settlement. So the town is, for the state to receive these funds, the town must opt into the state settlement agreement. We do not have any current filed litigation directly against Janssen Pharmaceuticals and Johnson & Johnson. And under RSA 126-A, all opioid-related litigation that has settlement funds, they get turned over to the state either way, even if we were to be the one that brought suit against them. So the recommendation is for you to participate in this settlement.
I'll make a motion to have the town of Goffstown opt in to the state settlement with Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Johnson & Johnson, and authorize the town administrator to review the materials and sign on behalf of the town.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Kelly. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
And at tab 7E is the last item. The Goffstown Sewer Commission is proposing to have updates to the town's website, and these updates would explicitly show the town's sewer operations under the town of sewer department rather than under the Department of Public Works. This would, the commissioners have provided us with technical notes on where everything would need to move on the website, and the sewer commission is requesting an endorsement by the select board to move them out from DPW as into their own department page. There's no impact because we do all the programming of our own website here in town. It would just be the IT staff time related to that.
Do we know why they were put under DPW to begin with?
So DPW has staff. Historically, they were split between sewer and DPW. You had 2 employees who were split about 50-50 between the two. Over the past couple of years, that combined one employee got shifted 90-10, and then the sewer commission last year hired a new 100% employee under there.
Both of the people that were there both retired too.
Yes, they both
That were
retired.
taking care of sewer, so.
So, and I think the sewer department is just, or the sewer commissioners are just looking to have a little bit more control over the content that's on the website.
Any other questions? Need a motion?
So I just request a motion to endorse the concept of moving the sewer commission under a title of sewer department.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, seconded by
Yep.
Mark. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes 5-0.
That's all under the town administrator's report.
We received a letter from a resident referencing the fireworks ordinance. And
This is under tab 8B with a single I.
you can see the copy of the letter there. Should I read the letter, or you think?
No, the board had a little bit of discussion at
Okay,
the
good.
previous meeting on the 12th.
And what came out of that discussion?
Well, I had asked for input from police and fire about the, first off, the amount of calls, complaints of people violating the policy, of which the estimate was given about 20 calls per year. And then responses for actual injury, property damage, or anything like that, of which there were none. So we did discuss as a board potentially, the ideas at the time were shortening the time frame perhaps, or the dates in which there's like a week somewhere, if I remember correctly.
Around 4th of July.
Right.
Yeah, the week around 4th of
But
July.
other than that, we feel that the policy's serving its, well, during that meeting, we felt that the policy was serving its purpose, but more so, people need to contact the police department if people are violating this policy, of which that really doesn't seem to be happening. So that's where we kind of ended, was if there was more information for them to bring it forward, but I don't think anyone had any additional. Chief, I'm assuming no additional comment on that. Thank you.
The 7-day period, if I remember right, was discussed because you could have the 4th of July on a Wednesday, and you would not be able to encompass a weekend type of thing on it. So we kept that whole week in there. And it made sense at the time. I still think it makes sense because you don't want to have it like just one night on the 4th of July or the evening of the 4th of July or whatever, and not be able to take advantage of a weekend type thing. So I'm not inclined to change the policy at all. I don't think 10 o'clock is outrageous. They go till Manchester that late.
I'll just say, for this one specifically, so we currently have it July 1st through the 7th, so the actual days.
So that would definitely encompass a weekend that way.
Well, the 4th would always be in the middle of that 1st to the 7th of July. So, you could consider the 3rd, 4th, and 5th or something along those lines.
No, because then you may not end up with a weekend. If it's on a Thursday and you say, you're not going to end up with a weekend. That's why we did a week. It has to be, you have to have a week in order to compass a weekend. If it's at the end of the week or beginning of the week, you're going to miss the weekend.
That was really the only idea that anyone had. I don't know if anyone has any other ideas, but at the time, that's kind of where we left it.
Didn't we kind of, the the police chief and everything said it's more an issue of, not that there's anything wrong with the ordinance, it's more an issue of education and enforcement.
So, are we inclined to leave it alone?
Pete, why is it important we include a weekend in that period around Independence Day? I'm just curious.
Well, because that's when people get together on the weekends. You know, that's what they do. That's the type of time of the year that they use it, and it's the summertime, and whether it's here or up at the big lake or down on the river, I mean, it's always the weekend that encompasses.
Well, the 4th is a holiday anyway, so most people are gonna get that day off. A lot of places, if that falls on like a Thursday or a Tuesday, they give a Monday and a Friday, so it just seems like an awful long time for there to be open season on fireworks going off, to me.
It's only a week. And then you also have the provision that on a special
Right.
occasion, they could go to the fire department and get a permit.
Right.
So I don't see any reason to be changing it myself. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't hear them for a whole solid week. Like I say, I'm not inclined to change it. I won't vote for a change.
I mean, I do think a good first step would be to do some good education on the policy and what we allow from the police department around the 4th of July.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
have a
with
problem
the-
with
With the
that.
20 calls, maybe people don't know they should call the police department if there's an issue, or maybe there just aren't issues, I guess. We don't really have the statistical data to, in my mind, support changing it based on the fact that there was like public hearings and things for this when it was established in 2015, so. I'd be more inclined to do that, public hearing, if we were gonna change it.
Maybe we need to do more on the signs, so we can put up some signs that week, and we can do more on GTV.
Those are all things that'll help. I mean, education by far is the most important key to this whole issue that we have. I'd be in favor of just tabling this right now, Pete. Let's ask the police chief if he can get us the last 2 years of statistics as to how many complaints we have really had, if we've had true complaints or just people calling to pitch. And then after that, once we get those 2 years of statistics forward, then we can make the decision as to whether we do stay the entire week or we shorten it up to the holiday and a day or two after that. That's,
Okay, and then let me ask you a question. We do that, we shorten it up for those 3 days, and people start complaining about the 3 days. What are you gonna do? Are you just gonna keep cutting it down until people stop complaining? Until we just cut it out? People are always going to complain. The
Well-
dog owners, I'm just, go ahead.
Just to back up for a second, I think the chief did bring us calls.
I don't,
Minuscule
Numbers.
I don't
And-
remember the numbers, Kelly.
Oh,
So-
okay.
small
No
numbers.
problem. I don't know if he has them now, but it was like 21, 23, 24, something like that. It was they were all in the 20s.
What was the nature of the calls?
Firework complaints.
Outside the hours.
I think they're more, out of the
Outside
hour.
the hours,
now.
after
Yeah,
10.
somebody,
One more time.
I don't have them currently in front of me, but I do remember, I think it was a 3-year data poll that I did that I think it was about 20 to 21. I remember us speaking on this, and the majority of them were right after 10 o'clock, and it was more of some educational pieces. Some were in between the hours, but they were shooting in the street, so we educated them they can't shoot in the street. Other ones were after 10 o'clock, educated the people on that, and most of the time, that's pretty much ends that part of the fireworks. And every once in a while, we have the 1 o'clock in the morning. We had a couple that were on New Year's Day at midnight that they shot them off.
always
People
get 'em
called
New
us, we
Year's, yeah.
went looking for them, but couldn't find them. And then we have pretty much every year,
Minutes.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, so for the record, it was, in 19, we had 20, in 20, we had 20, 21, we had 29 calls, and then as of that date, in 2022, we had 8. Again, as I said, they're really just a couple calls in the streets, and then some that were after 10. And then we have a fair amount of calls that come in about some of the debris landing in the water. And as I tell all the residents, if we can prove that the debris is from this particular house, part of that ordinance, we'll cite them.
Okay.
I have a question, Chief. If you were to cite somebody, what's the fines associated with
It would be,
violating this
That's in the
policy?
ordinance.
the ordinance, yeah, it would be a violation offense, so they would have to go to court. It could be up to $1,000
So
based on the statute.
The ordinance, first violation is
Oh, I'm sorry.
$250, then $500, then $1,000, and loss of permit privileges.
Yes.
Because we've still got littering ordinances and noise ordinances that, can dovetail with some of this stuff, too.
Sure.
I mean, you shoot someone off at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure it's a violation of our noise ordinance. I don't have it in front of me, but
And I know that I've had, and if I may, I know that I've had a few residents who specifically know where the debris is coming from. They're terrified that some of this debris is landing on their property and, potentially still burning on their, one particular time, it was their porch that had a burning amber on their porch. They're terrified that if they're not home, that this potentially could start a fire. That's one instance that I heard of it.
Well, in this letter, it states, the worst, but on July 4th, fireworks in my neighborhood started again. July 4th. I was on my back porch at 7:30 p.m. when I heard something land on my deck. It was a bottle rocket. Now, that's, even if you change what you just said, this instance still would have happened. Unless you outlaw fireworks. I mean, that's
Do we know in that-
7:30 on July 4th. It's still within the parameters you were saying.
yeah, you're always gonna have those
Do we know if,
outliers, for sure. Don't care what you do.
do we know if in that instance she reached out to the police department?
I wasn't sure if it's still burning, she picked it up for water, and was very alarmed.
I don't
Doesn't say.
Let me look. I'm just saying that maybe that's an area of education where she's complaining, obviously has some thoughts and feelings in a specific instance in which she should have just called PD.
And
She may
I
have.
agree with Mark, education is a real key to this whole thing. We need
It
to let
is.
people know what's permissible, what's not, and what the ramifications are if you.
Well, that's what we had, yeah, last time, and Pete mentioned the signs. We can do some
right.
PD, the videos are great,
Mm-hmm.
some Facebook things to try to get it out there. Announcements and whatnot.
Fire chief always puts out every year he puts out a memo to everybody, or puts out the Nexel we have to use, things like that, so.
Sure.
Mark, does that answer your question for tabling, or did you have other thoughts with that too?
Nope, I'm fine. We can just,
Be the-
no action to be taken by the board at this time.
Anybody else? Do you need a motion on it, or just no?
Recommend outreach and
Just
education?
I think it would be helpful if you took a vote to take no action on it at
Okay.
this time.
Mark, did you make that
Yep,
motion?
I made that motion.
Who's gonna second it?
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes. I wanted to cover, while we're in this area, I wanted to cover Halloween, just to make sure we're all set with being on Monday night. We're all set with that?
Trick or treating.
Trick or treating is on Monday night. We always do it here that we adopt a night and it's Monday. Trick or treating, that's,
Do you have times, chief? My kids are aging out of Halloween, so it's not high on my priority list right now.
I think it's appropriate to keep it 6P to 8P,
Okay.
Monday night.
6 to 8?
The 31st we could, that would be
Okay.
appropriate. Seems like that's what the other neighborhoods.
so we could get that on the website and on GTV.
Okay.
And what's our candy budget this year?
We've Danielle has already.
There's no more money that Rick took it all.
Danielle has already started ordering. It's been showing up.
I'll buy the candy.
What's next?
Sorry, Pete, can I just ask, with this letter to the resident, can we just respond to her? with
Yes,
what-
absolutely. I can draft up.
Just want to make sure.
Yep, I've been in touch with her. So.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
review.
Pete, historically, I have volunteered to hand out candy.
I know you're not gonna be able-
But I'm not gonna be able to go the distance this year.
Okay.
I'll bring you a chair. You'll be sitting in the
It's
camping
just
chair.
the shoot hours.
Are you gonna be here?
I'll be here, yeah. I already got a costume. I'm ready. This is my favorite time of the year.
All right, let's go to review the proposed changes to the fund balance policy. And that should be B.
Double I.
Double I.
So what you have in your packet is a repeat. You have the memo from your last packet. You do have some new information in there. You have the next page has a chart showing your unassigned fund balance history from 2012 to last year at tax rate setting. And then the page behind that, I know Vice Chair Boyer asked some questions about use of fund balance. So we have your fund balance used for voted from surplus or warrant articles, as well as used to reduce taxes each year. And you'll see in 2022, you have what was voted to be used for warrant articles. We don't have the figure of what you'll use to, when you set tax rate this fall, but that's kind of where you're at right now.
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the current percentage retained, maybe I answered my own question. If we were to follow the new guidelines, do you happen to know what that had been for last year for dollar amount?
So we haven't figured out the general fund operating expenses because that involves the state education grant. But we estimate you're probably going to be in the range of your general fund operating expenses between the town, school, and county of roughly $54 to $55 million. So 16.7% of that, I think, was the low threshold that was recommended. That 2 months of operating, that's going to be about $9 million.
So retained from last year, we're at 7 million.
So you're at 7.6 at tax rate setting, and then you had additional funds additional revenues that came in and under expenditures that would have added to that number, and then you've used $865,000 from warrant articles this year.
So the 14.69 isn't really, it's kind of hard to, it's not really that percentage because we have other monies we've used out of there, right?
Right.
The 14.69, you're looking at the 2021 retained. Yeah, that was the figure that was retained at tax rate setting, but it's a moving target. That's just a snapshot in time.
Yes, okay.
But we're additionally going to have new monies coming in from the 2021 audit. So under expenditures of your appropriations plus increased revenues that were collected above what we'd originally projected. So that would be going into fund balance at the end of 21. So there's going to be 865 coming out, but there's also going to be monies going in. And that's information that we normally get on the 535. So I have seen the draft of it. I was planning to present that at the meeting on the 7th.
Okay.
This is helpful, thank you for doing that. I think my comment is that the recommendation still says increase the minimum balance to 16.7% and update the target balance to at least 18. I still am concerned with us locking ourselves into, or setting a policy that locks us into this much of an increase, which could potentially put us in a situation where we have to turn around and break that for years like COVID. I don't really know what that means, but I think that's my feeling is that's pretty significant based on what we do now, but we are kind of in that ballpark anyways. I don't know. I guess I just worry about, I don't want to set a policy and then have us turn around and negate it for whatever reason.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I understand that this is seemingly a large increase on the policy side. The recommendation is coming before you from a place of, we need to get to, I think, the best practice. The best practice being, at least the 2 months worth as recommended by GFOA. This may be something that we work towards, but I definitely felt like our outdated policy, having it hold at about 8%, was way too low. It's way too low for not only just meeting recommendations, but for our current operating that we're seeing for activity. And so I felt like it was imperative that I bring that information to the board and bring it to your attention. And I mean, perhaps you know, review the fund policy. It is close to where we are, based on our actuals. But I would hate to see people go into budget season and think, well, our target's 8, so let's hurry up and spend a ton of this money, if really we should be reserving it and our policy's outdated. So perhaps it's something that we work towards. Maybe we don't get there right away, or maybe we review the policy again next year, we make it, 15 this year or something, but I think we do need to start going in that direction
That's
for
what
the
I was gonna
size.
ask you. This is an immediate hit. Is there a gradual way to get there gradually?
So I think when the policy was set in 2007, the town's fund balance was quite low, if my memory serves me right.
Well, we had to borrow money from sewer.
Yes, yeah, the borrowed money from the sewer fund rather than take out a tax anticipation note. And at that time, the way it's written is it's a 5% minimum, which is the DRA amount, and a targeted balance of working towards 8% at that time. So I think, what Danielle, is saying, that she's recommending, because again, these are the best recommended practices by the Government Finance Officers Association on the national level, is to have that 2 months of operating expenses for not just the town, but the town, the school, and the county. But maybe you ratchet it up, maybe you work towards that, so you set maybe a little bit lower threshold of that minimum balance and work up towards it.
Like a 2% increase per year or something like that?
I think you'd want, I think
we'd want to be a little bit more aggressive in the first year to get pretty close to that target, and then maybe creep it up in the years that follow. Where we're currently already around 14% each year, I think it'd be safe to target that type of a goal, and then next year maybe we go up a little bit more or something like that.
Go ahead.
I have an idea. All right, so, like I said, we're very close to that percentage each year, but things are fluctuating so much, it's hard for us to predict what that means for this fiscal year and any fiscal year in the future, right? Again, that's my hesitation with locking us in at a percentage this much higher than we've been in the past. However, we do have the ability to, if we set this policy, can we add a provision that says, select board discretion per something? Like, I'm thinking specifically of COVID year where we used money to offset taxes. And if that was appropriate in that situation to do.
Yeah,
For us to do that in an emergency situation or
and I
something
think that's
like
on,
that.
if you look at page 3 of 4, under fund balance uses, it talks about the board
Sorry.
you may use it to offset property taxes, and you may appropriate it for emergency purposes, even if use decreases the fund balance below the designated percentage. So I think there's wording in there that doesn't necessarily tie your hands, and then it goes on further to discuss some of the fund balance uses beyond that.
How does this affect our fund balance towards, to reduce taxes this year if we could pump it up?
Well, it's going to depend on where the final numbers land. At this point, these are just draft numbers. We think that we're going to see an inflow pretty similar to our outflow. So I think you're going to be looking at a fund balance that's right around that 14.5%, 15% mark anyway. Possibly, I think closer to 15 before we even get to tax rate setting.
So can we hold off on approving this till we can look at this year's actually, and as a board, try to see how realistic it is to come that close this year?
Yeah, I think you could
is that
continue this
reasonable?
discussion till the 7th, when you'll have a better idea of what your ending fund balance is, 2021 was, and you know what your outflow from town meeting is. And perhaps by that time, we can look at what numbers will appear on the tax rate for the operating, total operating between the town, school, and county.
Because I'm not opposed to this at all, but I just want to make sure, one, we can even attain that realistically, and two, that we don't limit ourselves from helping our
Shoot ourselves
residents
in the
if we
foot.
need to, right. But I think as a board, I would be willing to say that we try to get as close as we can to that, this year, and then implement. That's my feelings at least.
Okay, so we'll do that for the next couple of meetings, we'll take a look at it again.
I'll have that for you.
So let's look at the action matrix real quick. Anything on number 1, Derek?
Continue to reach out to the county administrator. I suspect once we get through the general election and county commissioners are elected and the delegation is elected, we'll have more luck. But I do continue to reach out every 2 weeks to see if there's an answer on that.
Cal, you're still working on the next one?
Yep.
On the bridge, that committee all formed, moving along?
Yep, we're getting to the point where we're going to be setting our first meeting here and getting going.
Okay. We're
Have we
gonna
got
have
any
an up,
further with our conversations with the Rotary? That's right, on Iron
They've
Man?
named
I mean,
a,
as far as the actual use of Rotary Park, you know, there was some concern. No?
no, I think the last correspondence that we received from them was to purchase the property outright.
Okay, so we're moving in that direction.
Yes.
Okay,
and
that makes the most sense, by the way.
we're gonna have an update on the refuge truck next meeting. And
Yes.
we know what, story with the ambulance, still nothing on that?
We're gonna be talking to Primex on it.
Okay. And then, Peterbilt to Kenworth for turbo replacement, so that's out for a week. Derek, is that back yet? So we wouldn't been without since 9/8?
Yeah, it's been the third stop.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Is there, seeing nobody else, is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none? Mark?
At this time, I make a motion to go into non-public session, RSA 91A:3, 2 for A, compensation, B, hiring. Anything else?
No, that's all.
That's it?
Second. Sorry, second.
Seconded by Kelly. Roll call.
Yes, sir?
Yes.
Yes.
Collis?
Yes.
Yes. That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting. For those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us.